You're in the trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics, and certainly hoped you enjoyed part one of our dialogue with Solomon Wilcots. He is definitely one of a kind. There is no question about it. Part two, we're going to get into kind of more specific Bengals-related things. Where do they stand in the AFC? The AFC is anybody's game. It is a toss-up. 14 of the 16 teams in the AFC are potential playoff contenders. It is going to be battle royale. The AFC North is just unbelievably deep as a division. A lot of things to digest there and to talk about, and no one better to talk about it with than the guru, Solomon Wilcots. And man, when you look at it, okay, Baltimore, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, the AFC North, everybody is a playoff candidate.
I totally agree.
Now, and then you go to the AFC West: Denver, Kansas City, Las Vegas, Los Angeles Chargers. Everybody playoff candidate.
Yeah.
In the East, Buffalo, Miami, New England. Don't sleep on the Jets. I think the Jets are a much improved football team.
They beat us last year, so we should already know that.
That's right. And then in the South, you get Indianapolis and Tennessee, and then Jacksonville and Houston. You get I think Jacksonville's going to be better.
Yeah,
Houston,
be better.
Texas. I mean, you're talking about 14 out of the 16 teams that could legitimately be a playoff contender. Everybody's saying about Cincinnati doing it. Why not us? The Bengals did it after having a 6-25-1 record over a 2-year span. All these teams are thinking we can do the same thing. This AFC race next year is going to be unbelievable.
Yeah, just getting to a Super Bowl is going to be a miracle, right?
Yeah.
Just navigating. I don't care if you're the number 1 seed or the number 7 seed in the AFC. That's going to be, when you get to the playoffs, that's going to be a true tournament style performance. I think it was this year because you had one of the lower seeded teams. The Bengals were number 4, and they knocked off the number 1 and number 2 seeds to get to the Super Bowl. So just think about that. I think it's going to be same. It's going to be an open field. You get to the playoffs, think of it as a tournament. Don't think of it as anything else. I don't care what your seeding is. It means nothing. Just like it didn't mean anything to the Bengals when they went on the road to play the number 1 seed Titans, when they went on the road to play the number 2 seed Kansas City Chiefs, beat them both and end up playing in Los Angeles, playing that team in their own home stadium. So, no, it's going to be tough. And, but I like their roster. I went position by position, and I was able to check off a lot of areas. I think Duke Tobin, I think the Bengals have done a great job.
Yep.
I was able to check off a lot of areas where I think the Bengals have the better roster of any team in the AFC North. That's saying a lot because we know what Baltimore is. We know what Cleveland has. Cleveland, 4 of their 5 offensive linemen have all pro next to their name or been to a Pro Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
So J.C. Tretter's not coming back at center, so that's the only position. But 4 of the other 5 guys, 4 of the 5 have been an all-pro or been to a Pro Bowl. So that tells you how good their offensive line is with Bill Callahan. Look, that team, all these teams are going to be formidable. And no, the Bengals can't take anything for granted, but I sense they know that.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you look at one publication I was looking at, they tiered, different, first of all, combination at defensive end is pass rush.
Yeah.
And they went 7 tiers deep, and the Bengals were in the top 3 tiers, with Hubbard and Hendrickson. Hendrickson, 17 and a half sacks in 20 games.
That's right.
They had 17 as a team the year before. Yeah, 17 and a half in 20 games, the following year. And then you take the entire defensive line, they were up front, they were in the top 3 tiers again, out of 7 tiers. So, everybody talks about Joe Burrow and the offensive weapons, rightfully so, but Solly, as a former defensive player with the Bengals, you got to respect the hell out of what they've accumulated defensively as well.
Yeah, and you talked about the defensive line. Let me talk about the linebackers, Jermaine Pratt and Logan Wilson.
Yep.
Let me tell you right now, both of those guys, if you took 2 linebackers, remember, we're in sub-package 60% of the time, every single defense across the league. Teams are throwing it that much. But these guys can stay on the field on third down. Think about the way that we've closed out games in the postseason. Jermaine Pratt gets the interception off Derek Carson, the Raiders packing. The end of the Titans game, the tip by Eli Apple, interception by Logan Wilson in that game to close it out, right? Think about Wilson down the stretch in the Super Bowl. I thought he covered Cooper Kupp excellently. The ref should have never threw the penalty flag.
I agree.
But these two guys can cover. They know how to pattern read and match up in coverage. Lou Anarumo trusts them both to be able to leave them on the field when we have our sub packages out there, our nickel and dime defenders out there.
Yep.
Most teams can't leave a linebacker on the field. That's what happened to Buffalo, who has a great secondary. But when they were playing the Chiefs in that playoff game and we saw Mahomes just shred them up, it wasn't the DBs who gave up the plays. It was the linebackers in coverage who didn't match up very well, allowing a free release by Travis Kelce, allowing the crossing route by Tyreek Hill to get the walk-off touchdown to win the game. That's the difference when I think Jermaine Pratt and Logan Wilson. These guys match up very well. They know how to close off the middle of the field. Watch them play. I think they're underrated, but I think they give our secondary tremendous value in terms of pass coverage. And then the rookies that we brought in, not only are they versatile, they're fast. Because they all ran 4.3 or better, at this NFL scouting combine, but they also play multiple positions. So I think we're very dynamic on the back end. I think our secondary is much improved from even last year when I thought we were really good.
So give me your take, having been the exact position that Jessie Bates plays. You're a great free safety with the Bengals. The Jessie Bates factor. I mean, I think both sides are handling it with class at this stage. There's no animosity. There's no name calling going on. It's business, but it's business, and it's difficult business. It's tough business. You want to avoid a distraction. Do you foresee one?
I sure hope so. I hope he reports. I know I believe he's going to be there on time. There's no doubt. He's not taking any fines.
Right.
But Jessie Bates is not a good safety. He's a great safety. And here, remember, I talked about today's game has changed. At that position, think about how many teams that don't have a ball hawking safety. The majority of them don't have one.
Right.
In fact, his football IQ is on par right there with a Minkah Fitzpatrick, and you saw the deal Minkah just got, right? That's what Jessie is going to get. Look at the plays that Jessie makes. He's made those kind of plays like he did down the stretch in the postseason every single year. Big time interception to start off the Titans game.
No doubt.
Okay. Had a critical play to knock down the play that Von Bell ended up with the interception in overtime, staying over the top of Tyreek Hill to turn the game in our favor in overtime to win it on the road and send us to a Super Bowl. Just by in the first half of the Super Bowl, he gets the big interception on a deep throw against Matthew Stafford. He didn't just knock it. This guy, he knows how to possess the ball. He consults every week with a Hall of Fame defensive back in Rod Woodson. 71 career interceptions to his credit. And Jessie Bates goes to the same high school in Fort Wayne, Indiana as Rod Woodson. We don't know it, but Rod Woodson is a mentor of his, consults with him before every game. This guy has a conversation with Rod Woodson. I know that because we're good friends with Rod. And I've talked to both Jessie about it. I've talked to Rod Woodson about it. And listen, it's no accident that Jessie Bates is always around the football. I'm just telling you, Dave, this guy we need. He's a keeper. He's worth his weight. And just go talk to Lou Anarumo, and Lou's got to stay quiet on it because he doesn't want to tip the balance there, right? You know how it is. Coaches have to kind of stay out of that. They just coach ball. But he knows that Jessie Bates is vitally important to what they do defensively. This guy he'll turn the ball over. He'll give the ball to Joe Burrow and that Bengals offense on a short field. We need players like that in the secondary, not just a guy who's going to knock it down, but a guy who knows how to possess the ball, how to turn it over. He's got hands like a receiver, okay? I wish I had the good hands like Jessie Bates. I would have had more interceptions. This guy's he's a phenomenal player.
Lou plays three safeties quite a bit in his sub packages, Solly. He really puts a lot on the safety's plate, and he trusts them, and he's got great athletes back there. Do you like the 3 safety packages that he throws out there?
Yeah, three high safeties it's very smart, and then how you rotate them. It gives you greater versatility, but allows you to still be physical if teams try to run it on you, right?
Yep.
And teams are throwing more on first down than they ever have before. So you're going out there with your sub package. If you're going against 11 personnel, 3 wide receiver packages, 1 tight end, 1 running back. That's why you have 11 personnel. You're going to play with 6 defensive backs, 5, 6 defensive backs. And since we got now Dax Hill, we know Mike Hilton, I think, is one of the best nickel corners in football, blitzing. He can play the run. He's highly versatile. Dax Hill is very similar to Mike Hilton. So now you can play him on opposite side as a dime defender to the tight end side, because you're going to have Mike Hilton to the 2 receiver side. And really, Dax is like a safety, right? He's like a corner, but he's like another safety too. So Dax, Vaughn, Bell, as well as Jessie Bates, those 3 safeties are going to be, I think it's going to be very instrumental. I think they're going to be able to disguise a lot of what they're doing on the back end. That's why I said it earlier. I think we're better in our secondary than we were even 1 year ago. Now we just have to kind of cross our fingers and hope that we stay healthy.
Absolutely. Great job with Mike Hilton on Sirius NFL XM radio. Tremendous job with him today. You did an outstanding job there. Mike's awesome. A very good guest, isn't he? Very intelligent guy, man, huh?
Yeah, I try to find a few of those every day. I think I found one.
Yep.
And because I just think he does a really good job of explaining the game. You and I know that nickel cornerback position, there's a tremendous amount of burden of labor placed on a guy who plays that position. He's getting no help when it comes to some of the coverages that he's going to have to play. If he's man-to-man against that slot receiver, he's going to have to come down and take on a pulling guard. Yep. Remember that play against Ryan Tannehill where he faked like he was blitzing? He was really blitzing, but he understood when that back flares that I don't have to go get the quarterback. By the time I get to him, he's just going to get rid of the ball. He jumped the passing lane and picked off Ryan Tannehill. That's a heady play, Dave.
That's football IQ, man.
That's master class stuff, man. So I'm like, I got to get this guy on my show. I see what he's doing out there. That's what I told him. I was like, Mike, I see what you're doing, man. And we have fun talking ball. I really enjoy him, and he's a great guest to have on the show.
Oh, he's super, and he's got his doctorate, man. He's way up there. He's definitely postgraduate with that football IQ. Yep. Solly, it's Pittsburgh signs Larry Ogunjobi. When I saw that, I was like, oh man! Not only do we lose an interior rush guy, a division rival gets him. That one hurt a little bit.
Yeah, I've always liked Larry Ogunjobi, even when he was in Cleveland. Yep. I recognize that he was a player that's very good against the run. Okay, that's he's primo, but he's also effective in terms of pass rush. And for the Bengals last year, I had said this when we signed him going into 2021. I was like, that guy's going to be better than anybody thinks. And I would tell people that. I talked about it on all the shows that I do. And he didn't disappoint. He had a career high 7 sacks.
Yep.
As an interior rusher. Think about that. You got Sam Hubbard, Trey Hendrickson on the outside. Now you got this guy. He's killing it on the one-on-ones. Mm-hmm. And that's why the Chicago Bears gave him a 3-year, $40 million contract. Unfortunately, the injury that took him out against the Raiders, he hadn't completely healed. The Bears rescinded the contract. He went back onto the market. I really hoped that we would sign him back.
Me too.
And now the Steelers get him. Oh, that's like a double whammy. Our loss is their gain. I've been telling all those guys that, I've been doing radio shows with the guys in Pittsburgh and told them that, hey, this guy's going to make you better. Do you know the Steelers ranked dead last at defending the run 1 year ago? That's not common for Pittsburgh Steelers defense. But I think Larry Ogunjobi will put an end to that. He makes them better.
He does make them better. There's no question about it. And he and Hayward, teaming up in that defensive line. Whew. Yeah, that's that one was a little bit of a blow.
Yeah.
Solly, I'll tell you what, it's I could go on forever. And like we said, there's nothing more I like been talking football with Solomon Wilcots. You feel we'll get you out of here on this one, Solly. I mean, the division. I've seen, depending on what happens with Deshaun Watson, and who knows how long he's going to get suspended. Long time ago, I thought the way they structured that contract, the league should suspend him for a year and at least take that 1.1 million away from him. But I don't know what's going to happen there. But Deshaun Watson, depending on how much he plays up in Cleveland, you talked about the offensive line. They're a solid defense. It's a good football team. Baltimore, we know they're legit. I mean, they were beaten to death last year. They're a good football team. This division, I mean, think the Bengals can repeat as division champs, Solly?
It's going to be tough, but of course, I think they can. Listen, even if you take Baltimore, the fact that if they just survived the injury bug, they were decimated by injuries last year. Think about their defensive backfield. Marcus Peters, he didn't play in either game against the Bengals last year.
True.
Marlon Humphrey didn't play the second game. That's their corners. They signed Kyle Fuller. All three of those guys have all pro next to their names.
Yeah.
So they knew they had to have some kind of response to what Jamar Chase brings to the table and the trio of receivers the Bengals have, along with Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins. So, and now they've got three safeties and Chuck Clark. They bring over Marcus Williams. This guy's a phenomenal player. He played with the New Orleans Saints. And now they draft Kyle Hamilton from Notre Dame. So that's six guys right there with a tremendous pedigree roaming in that secondary. Look, we believe we got the best trio of receivers in the National Football League. I think you could check across every database, including PFF, and I think it'll hold up. I like our chances. I like our improvement. I don't worry about the opponents and what they've got. I respect it. I respect what Mike Tomlin has always done in Pittsburgh. I respect Coach Harbaugh and the team he's built in Baltimore, and the tradition and tenacity and how they play the game and what Lamar Jackson does for that football team. I believe Deshaun Watson makes the Battle of Ohio real again. I really believe that. I think the TV crews are going to show up when the Bengals and Browns play, because it's going to be that dynamic.
Yeah.
But look, man, I'm buying stock in a Joe Burrow-led team every single year. I'm buying stock in the Cincinnati Bengals and what they bring to the table. That young offensive talent they have, a revamped offensive line, something we hadn't really talked about. If the Bengals were a stock right now, if they were a commodity being traded on the NASDAQ or the NYSE, I'm buying, Dave. I'll tell you right now, because it's doing this.
Yeah. Saldi, I agree. I mean, and you hit a great point here. The three offensive linemen are going to make such a huge difference, because Joe Burrow is as laser focused as any player I've ever seen, Solly. It is unbelievable. This dude is laser focused. It's so important to him, and when you're game planning to protect people, to hide weaknesses, it's 5 times harder. That's what they did up front the whole year. And then because of lack of people across the board, you don't have time to attack areas of the field you'd like to get to. Now you can attack areas of the field with route combinations and things that you couldn't even dream about. So I think the sky might be the limit. I mean, I think we may just be seeing the very infancy stages of what some of these guys can do, because I'll tell you, the coaching staff's going to have a much different scenario when they're game planning with a more solid offensive line to work with. There's no doubt.
Dave, you know how good Joe Burrow was a year ago?
Oh, my God.
He was sacked 70 times. Yeah. 70 times last year, all the way through the Super Bowl.
Unbelievable.
But he still led the league with a 70% completion rate. The only quarterback all last year to complete 70% of his passes or better. Not even Tom Brady did that. Right. He also graded out in PFF's database as the highest graded quarterback, including the highest graded quarterback against pressure. Yeah. But now, how do you get sacked that much, still complete that high percentage of your passes, and also lead the league in yards per pass attempt? It's impossible to happen. That tells you that what kind of a force multiplier he is. He performed above expectation. Most quarterbacks need help to do their job. Yep. I think it's clear he didn't get a whole lot of help from the offensive line. I'm not trying to pick on them. No. I think the numbers just bear that out.
Right.
He didn't get the help that a lot of these other top-rated quarterbacks got, but yet he produced better than they did. That tells you what we have at the quarterback position in Joe Burrow.
And in spite of all that, he put his name in the record book, not just the Bengals record book, but the league record book.
Yes, he did. Multiple times.
Multiple times. It truly is amazing. And like you mentioned, 9 sacks against the Tennessee football team. He was sacked 9 times and wins the game. And then in the second half of the Super Bowl, he sacked 6 times. He sacked 15 times in 6 quarters in the playoffs, in this playoff game and the Super Bowl game. 15 times in 6 quarters, and damn near wins the Super Bowl anyway.
One player away. Yep.
Hey,
Jamar Chase is still open, right? He's still open on that final play. But no, those are the things that excites us about this team. It's just plain and simple. But you're right. Joe Burrow has this energy and this focus about him. He's a winner, and we said this coming in. I think he's proved a lot of us right. There's no doubt about it. There's not a player that I would have taken before him in any draft, to be honest with you. I'm just telling you right now, he's that kind of player. He's that kind of person, and it's going to be fun. I think that we've got some exciting seasons ahead of us, and I can tell you right now, I've been telling everyone I'm going to enjoy the ride.
I hear you, Solly. I hear you. And, every free agent that comes to the Bengals that I talk to, how big a factor was Joe Burrow in your decision-making? Huge.
Unanimous, right?
The biggest factor. I mean, he's personally recruiting all these guys to come to the Cincinnati Bengals just by being the player that he's being. It's unbelievable.
And how about the person? See, a lot of, the guys down there at LSU, which is like a football mecca, by the way. Like the old Odell Beckham Jr.'s, the Jarvis Landry's, the Andrew Whitworths.
Yep.
All these guys who didn't play with him at LSU, but watch what he did, went back there, and they all kind of go back there in the offseason, and they've all had a chance to meet him. They've had a chance to talk with him, and now they want a chance to play with him. Mm-hmm. And that message spreads like wildfire through this league, and much in the same way that Tom Brady is a force multiplier and it can almost convince anyone to come play with him. Joe Burrow has some of that. He's got that kind of charisma. He's got that servant leader thing about him that we all appreciate in players that we play with. And to have that at the quarterback position, I think everybody knows that the Bengals are playing with something more special than a lot of good quarterbacks in this league.
No doubt.
But Joe Burrow's got that thing that makes him a little bit more special because of that servant leader thing that's organic and that's very real.
A charismatic football savant. There's nothing better than that, man.
That's right. That's right. Unbelievable. That was Peyton Manning, right?
Yeah.
That was Peyton Manning. You just described Peyton Manning and Joe Burrow.
Yeah, it's very true, Solly. As always, my man, you are the best. Appreciate it. Appreciate your time. Appreciate your football IQ and everything about Solomon Wilcots. Thank you, sir.
I love it as usual. It's always great talking with you, Dave. Wish you all the best.
Dave Lapham here, and every day I am grateful for my experience to have played professional football. As a player, I realized self-motivation, leadership, and appreciating your teammates are key. At First Star Logistics, you can use those same attributes to create the life you want for you and your family. Build your future by working hard like I did. You'll see results both on and off the field. Call First Star Logistics today and be part of our winning team.
Opportunity knocking.